the legal team, the international legal team at the CME Group. If anyone's not familiar with the CME Group, we're a pretty large exchange group, I believe. We are the world's largest and most diverse futures exchange based in Chicago. You might have heard the brands CME, CBOT, NYMEX and COMEX. More famous, in my opinion, for being the trading floor in the film Trading Places, which I'm sure everybody's seen because it's obligatory background research for any career in futures. Any other questions on what we do, Tom Lant at the back will be able to give you the official party line. So I'm going to talk very briefly how I ended up here today. Legal and regulatory functions that you will come across in any business that you work in this sector. Main areas of law and regulation, we're going to do that really quickly. And how to work with legal, which is one of my favourite subjects. This is something, if you learn it now, you will save yourself many years of heartache. And this is my gift to future lawyers in the industry. We're not going to miss the opportunity to have a kicking comment, which obviously is a great segue into a picture of Saracens. I started life as a technology lawyer, which was purely due to having a year out planned in my career to go to the Atlanta Olympics and then totally failed to make the team. So had to do something, not very imaginative, so went off and did a master's. Used to getting up at 5 a.m, so decided to take a degree in computer science at the same time and ended up in a slightly geeky area of technology law before it really existed in the mid-90s when I qualified, which morphed very quickly into financial services, technology and internet banking, which I did very happily for a number of years, became a partner in one of the quite large firms, and by the time the dot-com boom came, had a lovely practice and it was all great, but always had this slight fear of getting bored. And in 2007, 2008, I was thinking really, what's going to be next, looking for another challenge. And at that time, CME Group was looking to expand internationally. Obviously, technology is really at the heart of our business, particularly in these electronic days. So a lawyer who could do financial services and technology without going white and feeling sick made a lot of sense for them. And obviously, I joined them in August 2008. Anyone who was around at that time will remember August 2008 because 2 weeks after I joined CME Group, Lehman Brothers went down and the whole industry sort of exploded into a period of change and uncertainty and regulatory deluge, which certainly addressed my fear of getting bored. And there were quite a lot of days now when I wish I was bored. But so I guess that's another message for everybody here. Just be careful what you wish for. So that's me. I joined CME Group. We were 12 people in London. We are now 500-ish in the UK. We've got an exchange, a clearinghouse, a trade repository. We've got a market maker. We've got an authorised marketing. We've got a benchmark administration calculation agent and a whole bunch of technology, data businesses. We've got an office in Belfast where we write software. And we've really, obviously, very much expanded in the UK. I also now cover Asia. We've got offices in Singapore, Beijing, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Seoul, and we're just starting a big office in India too. So once again, no fear of getting bored anytime soon. So who in the business? Now, whatever business you work in this sector, everyone is going to be interested in regulation, certainly for the foreseeable future. Obviously, the credit crisis largely was attributed to the derivatives market. We've seen from the G20 in Pittsburgh, we've seen Dodd-Frank in the US, MiFID, EMIR. There are any number of acronyms and referencing new regulation in our sector, and it is very much at the heart of what we do. So unfortunately, if you don't like regulation or acronyms, it's probably not the place to spend too much of your career. But within any business, you're likely to have a legal department and a compliance department, and you may also have government relations and something more, if you're a larger organization, company secretarial function. I think quite a lot of people get confused between legal and compliance. The way I try and break it down is legal will look at particular issues, particular circumstances, and they'll look at the legal risk in those circumstances and try and solve or allocate risk and manage the legal risk in any one situation. Compliance are much more about policies and procedures and how should the business operate on a day-to-day basis in a way that complies with applicable regulation. Government relations, we like to think of that's us engaging with lawmakers, regulators, etc., and helping them get the regulation right. Doesn't always work, but we are optimistic. And also the Office of the Company Secretary, all about governance and making sure that companies operate in the right way, their boards make decisions properly, and we comply with the law in that area. Look at that. Okay, so main areas of law and regulation. So on the regulatory side, I put the FCA handbook here because it's probably the most likely thing regulator you'll come across. Deals with all investment firms and is going to extend, though the number of firms that have to be authorised will increase as MiFID II comes in over the coming months. There's also the Bank of England that regulates CCPs. We've got the PRA, we've got ESMA, we've got ACER. Again, awful lot of regulators springing up all over the place, awful lot of acronyms. I've mentioned MiFID II, which is really the trading type regulation. EMIR covers clearing. Benchmarks regulation is coming in after the LIBOR issues, and that's going to be a pan-European piece of legislation that we're looking forward to. And then there are a number of, I would say peripheral, but they're not really, sort of additional specific pieces of legislation around market abuse, capital requirements. The list goes on and on and on, which will keep us all in jobs for many years to come. Okay, other areas my team covers: company law, I mentioned, commercial law, a lot more fun. So things like marketing arrangements, sponsorship deals, that sort of thing. Licensing, again, data is a huge part of our business. Technology, very, very significant across the board in futures. Employment, other, I've put privacy there because it's one that we deal with all the time, but also this week I had my first conversation about the Modern Slavery Act. So, there are fascinating areas you can get involved in the law, even within financial services. Okay, and then my favourite subject, how to work well with legal and compliance. So, number one, tell them everything. I can't say it enough. The number of times I have people come to me and they give me a very specific fact. So they may be thinking, right, we're going to do a marketing event. So they come and they tell me, this is what we want the customer to experience, which is great. But what I need to know is who's doing what are the risks, how does it fit together? And from there, I can work out what the legal issues are and how we manage them. And a good lawyer will make them, you won't notice that there are legal risks. They'll identify them, sort them out. You won't have to worry about them. But if you give the lawyer half a story, you're only going to get half an answer, and that is not a good place to be. Tell them what you want to achieve and what your objectives are and work with them to get there. But don't be flexible. We do get a lot of people coming to us saying, I want to do X and Y and Z. And really what the better conversation is, I want to do Z. I'm thinking about X and Y. What do you think? And work together. There are very few lawyers in the city who really want to inhibit business, despite what you may think. Most lawyers console themselves with the idea that they are creative and commercial and they want to come up with solutions. And I'd really encourage you to, when you're talking to them, make that assumption. Never think getting around your legal team is a good thing. You may think, haha, I've told them a little bit, I've got the right answer, and now I'm off. But believe me, when something goes wrong and you're sitting across the desk and someone says to you, why didn't you tell us this? It's a pretty difficult place to be. People externally will be watching what you do, and if you do something wrong, they will be, no doubt, flagging that or attacking you, and it's very difficult to defend yourself if you didn't think through what the issues might be. This is one of my new but favourite pieces of advice. Don't think Google and Google Translate can give you proper legal advice. Okay, I know it's very tempting to look up the latest Italian market abuse regulation and decide that the Google Translate version is actually all you need to know. It's not. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So do go and chat to your legal department. And always, obviously, let us know early and in time for us to do our work. We get an awful lot of people coming saying, oh, hi, I need this for tomorrow, so can you just do the terms and conditions? And they're full of things we can't accept, but your supplier knows that tomorrow you're going live, so they're not going to spend an awful lot of time worrying about the fact that we, the legal team, are saying, we don't like that. Okay, let legal know early, then they can get involved. Things can run in parallel, conversations around terms and conditions, you don't need to worry about them. We can handle those for you, but let them know early and let legal do their job.